So I'm going to actually talk about my current situation with the IRS because my ex-wife, in a text chain back and forth a couple hours ago, was wondering what was going on. And I never like to inform her about the situation until there is a situation. And right now there isn't one. Um, so so basically here's what's been going on. So there's been a running installment agreement for several years with the IRS. It's always kind of just turned over every year. So I haven't had to deal with it. It's always been a reoccurring payment. However, this last September, I got a notice about some numbers from a return that was done in the 2010s. I don't remember what year it is because I don't have it right in front of me. It's in my storage unit. So they needed some money because I made a clerical error. And because it was from then, they added interest into everything. And so I believe the figure was around $1,800 that I had to pay them before they mess with the account. And if you know anything about dealing with the government and owing them money, they always get their money. So you pay the money if you can. So I did. And what happened was in September, they stopped my installment agreement. And I just thought, okay, they're going to just restart it because I sent the money. So I got the last time they took it out was mid-September. I thought probably by November they would restart it. No such luck. Didn't quite realize this until January. Because I didn't look at the account very close. I just assumed that eventually they were just going to restart it, and they never did. And so I tried reaching out to the IRS, and this can be challenging because, especially when you get over the first of the year, wait times go way up. And if you don't call first thing in the morning, forget it. I mean, their voicemail will actually say, we have basically we have too many calls. We can't take yours. Please call back another day. So I tried multiple times, and then I eventually got through, and I tried talking to him about it, and we got disconnected. And so I feel like I'm just screwed. So I made 4 attempts, and I basically just gave up at that point because during this time of year, the IRS is just plain hard to get a hold of. So right now it's May, and I am waiting for the IRS to process my return because from what I was told years ago, it's better to file your return than not to. Even if you can't pay it, it's better if you file. So I have always filed every year. I've always filed on time. I've paid extra money to make sure that it gets there, that goes out when it's supposed to. So I figure, and this is another thing about the IRS, they will not call you. So you basically work through message in a bottle technology. They send you a notice, then you call and you give them the document because they give you a document number to give them. And then I believe it was a 4-digit PIN or 6-digit PIN. I can't remember, that you give them as well. And so then you start talking to somebody, then you try and resolve your situation. I am afraid that this may not be a conversation on the phone kind of situation with this next notice. I think this might actually require an actual visit to an IRS office, which for me is about, if it hasn't changed, it's about 30 miles from here. So I'm basically waiting to see what's going to happen, but there's nothing I could do until they process this next return, and then I get notice, and then we can either call or work out a time to visit. But they'll never call you. That's not how it works. If you get a call from somebody saying it's the IRS, it's not. So I can understand why my ex-wife was worried, because she's on some of the years of the return that we're in debt on. So I explained everything. I mean, it took probably 12 texts to explain everything. But basically, I told her, nothing we can do right now. There's no point in having a conversation with them right now, because they're still working through processing the returns. So I give them usually about 4 to 6 weeks. And that's why I think it's probably going to be about June before there's any conversation. So it's going to be it's basically going to be one of two solutions for them, or maybe three. It's going to be either we get a phone call going back and forth, we work out a new installment agreement, and we start the process all over again. That would be actually the best of all solutions, but probably not great because my income has gone down, but better than the alternative. Alternative number 2, visit with the IRS. They go over my numbers. We figure out if we can even make pay off the debt. If we can't, maybe work out in a hardship situation, but I don't know yet. So that's option number 2. And option number 3, the worst of all possible things, having them put a lien on my account. And this happened to me back in the 2000s. So this is not new. This affects your credit, which I don't care about anyway because my credit stinks. I couldn't, if I wanted to apply for a student loan, I couldn't. I forget what else. There is some other federal things that you can't apply for when you have a lien. But they do take it off after a period of time as long as you are making payments. I believe it's 3 to 5 years. It comes off, and then, it comes off your credit as well. So fingers crossed that it's just an installment agreement. I'm afraid for the worst, but I probably won't know until mid-June. But this is why it's very, very important to pay your taxes if you're self-employed. I don't want anybody to ever have to deal with my huge mistakes. Put every other bill on the back burner that you got and pay your self-employment taxes. It doesn't matter what it is. Even if it's your rent, live in your car. It's a better option than having to worry about the IRS being in your back pocket.